Hello guys!
Hey guys!
Welcome again to our new episode of P&P entitled Presidency and Culture. I am Pio,
And I am Pearl.
and this time we would like to ask you, what do you want our next president to do on the issue of culture? Ikaw ba, Pearl? How would you answer this question?
I would like a president who would raise awareness on the value of culture, sites and traditions and interest in its conservation. How about you, Pio?
I would like a president who will forward campaigns, projects, programs that are completely non-exploitative in all forms.
That's an amazing answer.
Thanks!
We interviewed 20 students from the College of Social Science and Philosophy what they want our next president to do on the issue of culture, particularly tourism.
How about you guys?
Let's hear them out.
I like that too.
Bongga!
So we have specified the issue on culture to tourism because in some ways it shows and exposes one's cultural identity not just to foreigners but also to us locals.
Tourism also involves the issues on indigenous people and their traditions, the environment, public infrastructures, exploitation, and many more.
Now we've come up with the top 5 the next president should do, which concerns the issue on culture, to be specific, tourism. Bring it!
Number 5. A president who is against a profit-oriented tourism. Tourism should focus on embodying its role in nourishing and sharing cultural identity, not through profit-oriented means. For instance, the pahiyas, or the food, fruits, and vegetables displayed outside the houses that were once given out to visitors after the procession are now being sold. Projects should lean towards cultural enrichment and should veer away from a profit-oriented scheme which benefits only the foreign investors and the businessmen.
Number 4. A president will implement projects on the restoration and preservation of historical sites for cultural and historical identity. The Philippines is rich in history from the very beginning of its existence. According to the website of Department of Tourism, the top Philippine World Heritage Sites are as follows: the Tubataha Reef, the Puerto Princesa Subterranean River, the Banawe Rice Terraces, the historic city of Vigan, and many more. And we need a kind of president who would implement projects for their preservation and restoration. In addition to that, restoration of the Metropolitan Theater is on its way. Yay!
Number 3. A president who supports and respects indigenous people and their traditions. Ecotourism is particularly damaging to indigenous peoples, who have maintained high biological diversity within their traditional territory over generations and millennia. Their homelands and cultures are now the prime target globally for rapid commercialization and exploitation by the ecotourism industry. The only successful models for tourism involving indigenous peoples are those designed by indigenous peoples themselves, on the basis of their own traditional knowledge, practices, and innovation systems, including their own customary laws.
Number 2. A president who supports non-exploitative and pro-grassroots programs. The respondents pointed out that the president should plan projects for the benefit of the local industry. Local workers should not be exploited, and communities from grassroots levels should not suffer and be compromised. An example of which by a respondent is the case of the Aitas in the northern part of Luzon. Their culture, their way of life, and even themselves are used as an instrument of capitalism, maximizing their cultural practices and profiting from it. Number 1.
A president who gives importance to the environment.
An example of which is what was stated in tourism development in Boracay Island and its impacts on the local community.
With tourism development, changes are evident in Boracay Island in terms of sand erosion, coastal pollution, and environmental changes.
Wastewater is not properly treated, and evidence of sulfide spills over to the shoreline.
The respondents put so much concern on the environment that it should never be compromised just for tourists and profits' sake. Now that we already know the major concerns of the CSSP measures on the issue on presidency and culture,
There were also other points that were raised, namely,
a president who would likely improve the international image of the country, or someone who would resolve the issue on the Gambala.
a president who addresses concerns toward improvement of infrastructures, like our airports and our ports.
And a president who would spearhead promotion and discovery of more tourist spots.
that concludes our episode for today.
We hope you guys learned so much and take into consideration these concerns raised by your fellow scholars and staff this coming 2016 election.
So this coming May 9, do not just vote wisely, but also vote for change and for the betterment of the country. Be part of the solution.